Hey there, everyone. This is Sean Donahoe, and welcome to the first in a series of expert panel interviews. Now, with me today, and you'll see her lovely face there, is Jaime Tardy. And now, Jaime is a business coach. She is a speaker. She interviews millionaires every week for their tips, advice, and strategies that they use. And she is the creator of the Expert Millionaire Academy, or Eventual Millionaire Academy, sorry, and she has her very popular website, eventualmillionaire.com. I actually interviewed with Jaime a wee while ago, and was so kind of taken aback by what she did. I was actually caught by surprise that she has been on CNN in the newsroom. She's been on MSN Money, Success Magazine, Fortune Magazine, Yahoo's homepage a couple of times. And she started all this by really starting off paying off over $70,000 in debt and quitting her job and doing all of this full time. She's really been an incredible success in her market. So, Jaime, welcome to the expert panel here. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll get started with firing some questions at you and picking your brains.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for coming on my show. I really appreciate you interviewing me now because it was so much fun to interview you a while back because you were I called you the $5 millionaire. It was great.
That's it. So, okay, well, let's kind of, I guess, where's the first place to start is just how many millionaires have you actually interviewed in the Eventual Millionaire program and podcast?
It's about 70 now. So I'm really Yeah, 70
70
millionaires. I need a billionaire on that list. I don't have a billionaire yet, but 70
Yeah, I'm
millionaires so
working on it.
far.
I'm working on it. That's
Come on,
wow.
Sean.
Yeah, okay, we'll see. We'll get there eventually. And that's incredible. 70 millionaires. Now, what kind of walks of life have they come from? Is it all online millionaires, or is it offline millionaires? Is it traditional
Yeah,
business?
it
I mean,
ranges like crazy. So I talk to mostly just business owners, not necessarily. I mean, some people make their money on investing, some people make it in real estate, but I like to specifically focus on business owners. And it ranges, right? So there's some people like MJ DeMarco who had limos.com and
yeah.
great success story online, but also people called, his name is Craig Wolf. He owns a company called Celebriducks and they make rubber ducky celebrities. So, I mean, it really, runs the gamut of, online business, authors, entrepreneurs, it's all over the place.
That's awesome. And it just goes to show that I would never have thought celebrity rubber
I
ducks would make you
know.
$1 million. And the scary thing is, okay, this is confession time, a little insight into who I am. I actually have an Ozzy Osbourne rubber duck, and I have the Blues Brothers rubber
Okay,
duck. So
find
there's
out.
two.
Those are from Craig. I bet those are from Craig. That's
I,
awesome.
Now you've said that, they probably are. And I never would have thought there'd be $1 million in that, but I own his product. So, okay. That's a,
See?
yeah.
Yeah, they're everywhere. They are.
Now, what would you say now? I know this is kind of a tough question because everyone's different, but there's got to be some commonalities between what made them able to take that leap to the millionaire status from where they are. Because not everyone starts off, we're not programmed from birth to be millionaires. We have to have a lot of change in mindset. I mean, I wouldn't, if you told me 10 years ago I'd be where I was now, I wouldn't have believed it because my mindset was locked into the work mindset. In other words, I've got to work. I've got to work for a boss. I've got to work to get where I need to do. I need to put money away in my 401k. I've got to slave away to get the rights, climb up the corporate ladder, and all that crazy stuff. But what do you think is the 5 common traits that really help these guys transform what they were doing and take that leap and then build it to the point where they are now?
Okay, that's huge because that's exactly what I did too. Like 5 years ago, I would never have imagined where I am now. And one of the reasons why I started interviewing millionaires is to really know if there was this success traits. Like, do I already have the traits that are like a millionaire? So maybe I'll sort of predict whether or not I'll be a millionaire. But it was funny because after, the first 10 or 15 or so, there really was accumulation of going, okay, they do have some similar traits. And some of the similar traits are one is that they have an incredible investing discipline. And that doesn't mean investing in 401k. That means
Mhm.
value, like investing in things that they really care about. So whether it's your business, right, where you put in money and you hope more money comes out, of course that makes
Yeah.
sense. But in your personal life too, where they put in money where they're going to get the most value out. It's not as though they go ahead and, spend money on frivolously on lots of things. Frank McKinney, a guy that I interviewed, he's made his money building houses in real estate. Multi-millionaire, drives a Yugo. He actually has two Yugos. One's his nice Yugo and one's his daily driver. But he doesn't care about cars. And I think that sort of shows that, it's really about what you care about. He cares about like running ultra marathons and crazy stuff. So he'll spend a lot of money on that and not spend a lot on cars. And so that's just one example of really being able to invest in yourself on things that are really important to you.
Be true.
So that's number
People, I'll
one.
tell you right now, just as a prime example, I've been to lots of conferences, and I drive. I mean, I'm not far from Vegas. About 2 hours away from
Oh,
Vegas.
really?
So when I go to speaking and stuff like that, I pull up in my Dodge Hemi truck. Now it's a great truck. I use it for off roading. I use it as my daily driver. I mean, I've got a nice Mustang and all this other stuff, but my daily driver is a Dodge Hemi. So when all these people are driving up in their Mercedes and stuff like that, they see me pull up in a Dodge Hemi. That's my car. That's my driver. It's comfortable. It's not. You don't throw away your money.
Mm.
You accumulate it and let it work for you in a lot of ways. So it's actually very ironic. You said
See, because you're doing the same thing. See?
yeah, that's it. So what other traits do you see?
So number two and number three are sort of go together. The second one is having continuous forward motion, right? So MJ DeMarco talks about success not being an event. It's a process, right? We all hope it's an event, win the lottery, yay, sell a business, yay. It's not like that at all. It's really about doing the journey, taking the steps slow. Nobody likes that, and it doesn't necessarily have to be slow, but it's a longer process. It's not like I was on CNN and I'm a millionaire. That's not the case at all. So continuous forward motion is really huge, but one thing that gets in the way that I see millionaires don't do is having excuses, right? So that's number three. They have excuses, but they have a no excuses approach. So they don't listen to their excuses. They keep moving forward and doing that continuous forward motion anyway.
That,
So that's
that's very,
really huge.
yeah. And just to comment on that, one thing I always say to our inner circle here is if there's a roadblock, knock it out of the way, blow it up, walk around it, climb over it. Don't let anything stop you on the way to progress because, and just kind of echoes what you say, that success is not a destination, it's the
Mm,
journey. The rewards are at the end, but there's rewards all the way along, and it is a process. And it starts with taking those first steps, know where you're going,
mm,
and even if that destination it changes, you're on that path. You keep moving forward, and it's a different way of saying exactly the same thing. It is a continual process.
mm,
You're not just gonna hit $1 million, then stop, say, "Hey, I did it, great," and then stop. You keep moving forward, even if you hit your first $500, your first $1,000, your first $10,000, 100,000.
mm.
Just raise the bar every time. And I mean, even from the flip side of that, one thing I heard the other day is, and this is a phrase I absolutely hate. Okay, and this is going to sound completely backwards. People say the sky is the limit, and I always say,
Hmm.
why limit yourself to the sky when you can reach for the stars?
Yes.
And just go way
The
beyond that.
Andromeda galaxy, other galaxies, right? Come on, keep going.
There's nothing stopping you. Keep moving forward. Don't
Yeah.
ever put a limit on yourself. So that's brilliant.
Mm.
Okay, so what's 4 and 5? I'm kind of curious now.
All right. So and actually just to go on that, eventual millionaire, the term eventual millionaire is someone who has a goal to be a millionaire eventually, but they want to do it on their own terms. So they want to have an enjoyable life and an enjoyable business. And so that's what it's about. It makes it more about the journey than the destination. So the destination's still there. Great measure, I asked someone I met at a conference. Apparently he's a millionaire. Didn't know it until I asked him. He was like, "Wait, if I add up, oh, my net worth is over 1 million. Oh my gosh." And he didn't even know. So I think that's sort of key. You know what I mean? And now I'm interviewing. Like, okay, so you are. Now I'll interview you. But it really is about the journey and about what you're doing and stuff like that, more important. So along with that though, part of the journey, and number four, is having this urge to grow and expand, right? So millionaires that I interview all are voracious learners. Not necessarily readers. A lot of them are readers. Some of them aren't. But learners and trying to continually improve themselves and grow. And so part of that is expanding out of your comfort zone and getting better at things that maybe you're not good at first. But that's something that I see all the time. And they say the same thing that you said, right? 10 years ago, I never would have imagined being in this place because they have that sense of, let me just keep growing, let me just keep growing. And then you look back and you're like, wow, it's been pretty far. So that's huge. I see that through almost every single millionaire interview I've done.
Definitely. That's awesome. So what's number five? I'm kind of curious now because you piqued my curiosity now. I'm checking them off in my own mind. Okay, I'm on track.
Okay, so number five is focus.
One thing I don't.
So you don't need all five in order to be a millionaire, right? So that's a piece. And it's funny. I've gotten so many people that say they're like ADD, entrepreneurs, the people I interview. Totally. And so it's not necessarily about that, but it's about focusing enough to get stuff done. Right?
That's very true.
That's what it's about. So focus is huge, especially for people that are just starting out and they're dabblers. They just try things here and there, Testing and, evaluating is one thing, but dabbling is not good. So making sure you're focusing on what you really want and going after that, whether that means setting goals and achieving that before you pivot or before something like that. But focus is actually, looking through the transcripts, one of the words that comes up the most out of all the millionaire interviews. So focus is definitely big.
And that is, I'm going to be quite honest, that's one of my biggest struggles. I mean, I do have terrible ADHD and I've got my fingers in so many different pies and projects that one of my biggest struggles is pulling back and giving priority and sticking with one particular thing to completion. That was one of the biggest struggles I've always had. Now, thankfully, I have, my wife help. She is the ultra focused person.
See, that's what you need.
That's it. And, she helps me really keep things prioritized, organized and stuff like that. Otherwise, I call it the difference between a shotgun shell and a sniper. Shotgun shell is a scatter shot of pellets everywhere. Sniper is right down the line to your target. And it's taken me a lot of time to do that. And what I will do, I mean, I have a type of ADD which is called hyperfocus ADHD, which means I'm hyperactive, but once I'm locked on a target, it's hard to move me off. So now I've evolved that into, I will stick at something, just you can't even hit me with a bulldozer and knock me off track. And
I like that. I can picture that.
Okay, my reputation is proceeding. It's funny because, I mean, like right now, we've just rebuilt the inner circle. And that's been a 2-year-long project, which I kept coming away from, coming back to, coming away from, coming back to. And now it's just, I've had to sit down and just do it. And it's taken that kind of determination to get it done. And it really is. Everyone out there in their different markets, and like you say, dabblers, they try this, they try that, their email gets bombarded with all sorts of shiny magpie objects.
This one will work. This one will work. This one will work. Yeah.
Dabble, and like you say, never get anywhere. Find something that works. There are so many proven business models out there that will do what you need to do. You just need to sit down, focus, build the building blocks that create the foundation, and push, keep that perpetual motion, like you're saying, going, and just focus on getting something done. And then if it's making a little bit, then you can create something else and make that, and then create multiple streams of income. And that will get you on the path to success.
Well, and that's what I want to say. There's a distinction, right? So I interview a lot of serial entrepreneurs, right? They have a lot of different focuses. But the thing is that they stayed on track to make one thing successful before they moved to 1,000 other things. So I think that's the thing with you too. You're like, okay, well, this is successful. Let's try this. Let's try this. Well, you've already had success and you have a team, which helps a lot more in building more stuff.
Does indeed.
Yeah.
So that's it. You've got to have one success thing that allows you the freedom and flexibility to then start testing other things and doing that. But you need that foundation of success first. and that takes time and effort. Now, that leads on to my next question. A lot of these guys, like I said, you started 10 years ago. I started quite a while ago as well. I won't say how many years. But it's taken a long time to get where we are now. And everything we've done has allowed us and enabled us the skill sets to get here. But on average, how long would you say it's taken these people to get where they are and become millionaires in their own right?
So of course it depends, right? 70 different people, 70 different stories. Some of them, like Danny Johnson, did it in a year, which is crazy. Other people, it took 15, 20 years. So I'd say like if I had to figure out an average, probably between 5 and 10 years of focus, of just moving forward towards their goal, whatever it was that they were working on. I'd say about the average would probably be 5 to 10 years. Some of them are really fast, some of them aren't fast, and so the average would probably be about slow.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense because, like you're saying there, it's a continuous process, and it takes time. It takes work. I mean, there's so many people out there that think you could just be a millionaire in a month by doing the right thing, and then suddenly, wow, you're a millionaire. You've got to invest a lot of yourself in your business and your own success, and it does take sacrifices. That's what you have to sacrifice a lot of yourself to get there. You have to commit to your own success. And, I mean, that kind of. I mean, what do you think about that? I mean, is that something that you would agree with? Would the people that you've seen? I mean, what kind of sacrifices do you think they've made to get where they are?
Yeah, so my interview like 2 weeks ago, he actually contacted me. I'm getting millionaires come to me now, which is great. But we went out for a drink and I interviewed him shortly after. And one of the things he said is I work 16 hours a day. And personally, I work 20 hours a week. I have two small children. I only work 20 hours a week. So part of these questions that I ask is whether or not this can happen in 20 hours a week. Because I'm like, well, even if it takes longer, right? Even if it takes me 10 or 15 years, that's okay. But he was like 16 hours a day. I'm like, I can't even fathom 16 hours a day for as long as you've been working. And now he loves it, number one. But he knows that that's a sacrifice he's been making. He's like, I have my wife's a stay-at-home mom. We love doing it the way it is, but it's a sacrifice that he's spending 16 hours a day, especially at the beginning, on your business. So that's huge. And you have to be okay with that as a sacrifice. There's a lot of others, people have gotten divorced. People have issues, tons of different stuff. And unfortunately, putting this as a top priority puts other things as a lower priority. So to me, being a millionaire isn't the top priority. My family's top, and then after that is is my business. Very, very close, but not over it. And so there will be sacrifices made that I have to make for choices in my business because my family is number one. So it really depends on the story, but there's always something. There's always something.
That's very true. I mean, just to use my own story as analysis, I mean, I work anywhere from 14 to 60 hours a day and I work weekends. I always try and put limits. And one thing that it does put a strain on a relationship when you're working that much, but whether you're, the husband or wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, what have you, when you commit to your business, it is a full time and you'll put more effort into your business than you will into a regular job. I mean, a regular job, 9 to 5, you're done at the end of the day. If you've got that time. But when you're passionate about your own business and you're building this yourself, you do invest a lot more of yourself in it. And you've got to make sure you've got your priorities right. This is one thing, again, I struggled with a lot. And it certainly put a strain on my marriage as well with the amount of time I work. I am a workaholic and I love what I do, which means I don't consider it work. But it's a drug in some ways because there's always something else to do. There's always something else you need to get done. Oh, just another 10 minutes putting this together and then 2 hours fly by. And I'm also the main cook in the house. So
nice.
I'm like, where's dinner? And I'm like, oh, I guess it is about 9:30 and we haven't eaten yet.
Oh, same thing for me. Yeah.
There are lots of things like that. And it really does take some sort of structure. You've got to plan yourself, your time. You've got to make sure your priority because here's the thing. This is something I always say as well, which it took me a while to come to this realization, was that you create unwittingly create a barrier between yourself and your family life, between your work. As soon as the office door shuts, I'm in work mode. But life happens. It always happens. And if you don't have the right priorities, then you will cause massive problems. So put limits in place. And we're doing this, and this is the thing that hit me up the side of the head one day. I'm working at the business not to be a success in business, but to provide for my family,
Mm-hmm.
my kids' future. I'm putting a kid through college. We're paying for it cash right now in a very expensive special effects college down in Hollywood, actually. And we're able to do all this and provide for the family. But if we're not in the family, if we're not taking part in life,
Mm-hmm.
what the heck are we doing this for? Took me a while to come to that realization, and a lot of fights, a lot of problems, and eventually things have evened out. We've got I finally got the priorities right, so to speak, and have that cutoff time in the evening.
Mm.
My wife, I mean, both me and my wife, we work in the business at home, and we have no commute. We work together, but you've got to make sure that you're working for the right reasons, and when there's a communication breakdown in your
Mm.
life. So you've got to be careful and be aware of those sacrifices, and never forget to ask your significant other, um, is everything okay?
That's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it is very difficult, because the sacrifices can hurt
Mm.
if you're not careful. So you want to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons, that you have those barriers removed as much as possible, but also have an understanding that when you're working
Mm.
as much as possible. So
Yeah. Even at 20 hours a week, it's hard. I know, you
well,
know.
I certainly that's a lot of commitment, because I know kids. I've got two kids here, and well, I've got four if you include the dogs.
You
Uh,
can probably hear my dog barking 3 stories down because I think the mail lady's here, so my dog's barking downstairs too.
that's awesome. Okay, well, let me ask you another question. We've kind of talked about traits, we've talked about sacrifices, but what other kind of roadblocks do millionaires tend to face as they proceed down this perpetual path to where they want to go?
Mm. Well, this is sort of the mindset stuff, right? So confidence. Having fear, self-confidence issues is huge. Danny Johnson, who I said made her million in a year, was living in her car when she started doing this. So she went through tons. I mean, she has a crazy story. You should check her out too. But she had such a crazy story at the beginning that nobody liked her. She got pregnant when she was 17. Such self-confidence issues that she worked through in order to become what she is today. So I mean, there are stories from many, many millionaires. I interviewed a guy named Tim Hamilton that owns a great company that does like proprietary software and web design, and he talked about fear and how like utterly full of fear he was when he was in his business. And so, and until he figured some of that stuff out, he couldn't move forward. So having fear and self-confidence and not moving forward because of that, which is different than excuses. Excuses can be because of fear, but a lot of the times we don't even want to make excuses, or we just sort of step back because fear and self-confidence issues. We don't even realize that they're an issue. So definitely that's something we all need to work on.
That's very, very good point. I mean, it is a scary prospect when you've got mortgage payments, you've got utility bills, you put food on the table. Taking the leap into your own business is a very scary prospect. You have no idea whether you're going to make it, be it online, offline, traditional marketplace. I mean, I've worked with Fortune 500 companies to like Silicon Valley startups to mom and pop shops who just want to open their first store and they're not
Mm.
quite sure, is it going to work? I've just remortgaged my house. I've just taken out, maxed out my credit cards to buy all this equipment, and I have no idea whether it's going to be a success or whether I'm just going to, completely destroy my family.
Mm.
It is a very scary thing. If you have self-confidence issues, if you have anything going on that's going to hold you back in terms of your mindset, it's very, very difficult. I'll admit I've been through some of those things, certainly myself, and it takes a lot to just grab the bull by the horns and just kind of the way I see it is like Atlas. You've got the world on your shoulders, so let's throw some more weight on there. Come on, let's start our own business and all this other stress and strain, and then you've got to stand up and keep moving forward, like you say.
Yeah.
So it's very, very difficult, and certainly it's not for everyone. I'm going to say that because there are so many people out there that think being a millionaire is easier. We're not trying to scare people off by this. This is a healthy dose of myth busting, so to speak. I need a bigger kind of Jamie, I need to be Jamie here with a bigger
I love
walrus smile.
Mythbusters.
I love it. It's one of my favorite shows. But there's so many misconceptions out there. It is hard work. It's not going to happen overnight. It does take commitment. It does take sacrifices. But the rewards are so incredible. When you first taste and you hit your first goals and hey, I'm able to cover the mortgage. I've got food on the table. I've got a little bit of freedom here. That's great. And some people just stop there. But if you keep pushing, so many opportunities open up and it just becomes a way of life. It really is a lifestyle. It's not just a mindset thing. It's a lifestyle change. And it makes, it allows you to do so much for your family, so much for yourself, so much for the world around you as well. I mean, one thing we do is, we take about 10% of all of our profits and we give it to different charities that I'm very passionate about. 10 years ago, I couldn't say I could do that. And anyway, down at the grocery store, I'm lucky if I can give away $1 to to some of the people, with the hands out for the charities. Now I'm giving 10, 20. I mean, they look at me funny when I do $100 donation. And they're like, this guy's nuts. But I love doing that. I love being in a position to be able to do that and give back, what I've achieved. Giving back to everyone else is it's a great feeling, but it really takes time, effort, commitment, and all those things to do it. But the rewards, the feeling you get when you do that is so, and you have so much more self-confidence in yourself. It really transforms every aspect of your life. And I'm sure you've seen that with a lot of people when they hit that, where they felt they've succeeded.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I want to say in regards to that is you're right. There's a great quote. I don't remember who it's from because I can't actually find it online. Maybe I made it up. Maybe I didn't, right? It's it's the money doesn't matter. So even after I achieve the $1 million, I can lose it all because it's about the person I'll become. Right. And that's what I see with the millionaires because they have grown to a new place. Right. And I just in 5 years, I've grown to a new place. I can accomplish so much more now just because of the skills I have, the people I know, and my confidence. I can accomplish so much more now. So whether it be charity or whether it be business or whatever it is, I'm a different person and they are different people and can accomplish so much more. And their stories of charity are just ridiculous. Someone working at a 9-to-5 job would have a hard time imagining that, some of the stuff that they've been able to do in charities. So people are always like, oh, well, greedy, wealthy people, stuff like that. We all have blocks having to do with this. But I personally think we all need to be millionaires. All the good people, right? The non-greedy people need to be millionaires because they're the ones that are going to have a better mindset to be able to give back more. Because that matters too. It's not all about the money. It's about the life we live and the people we help. And so that to me is really important. And it's not about the money, but it is because that's how we become who we need to become.
That's very, very true. And, that kind of makes me, I was talking on another interview about this recently. I'm trying to remember the exact wording I used, but basically where you become, when you hit that plateau, when you hit that success, here's the cool thing. You could lose everything. You start to zero, but your mindset will allow you to reaccumulate all of that swiftly because you know what you did to get there.
Exactly.
And every failure is a success in disguise because you've learned something. You've learned a new skill. You've learned, okay, I'm not going to do that again, but okay. And even if you do lose everything, you go back to zero. You've built up your first $10,000, $100,000, $1 million. And then, something happens in the economy and you lose the lot. You can start again because all the principles of success you can apply to any business. Exactly. And that's why I asked you what's the 5 common traits, because it doesn't matter if you're making rubber ducks or your real estate or investing, the principles of success tend to be, in my experience, and conversations I've had with people who are millionaires and, my peers and everything else, are pretty much the same. They had an idea, they maximized it, they took it to a whole new level, they've added recurring income and income streams, or they've built it up from nothing and then kept growing and reinvesting in their business. and they've turned it into a six-figure business,
Mm.
seven-figure business, and way beyond. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And I think in general, we all tend to focus on the action steps, the stuff we need to do, well, this guy said I do this, and it's so much more than that. I had an interview a couple weeks ago, and it was funny because he specifically said people want that. People want, tell me what to do and I'll do it. But it's not that easy. This stuff that we're talking about right now is the crux of it all. You can tell somebody the actions to take. They can even probably take some of the actions, but it's not going to work the same unless you have the stuff that we're talking about right now, the perseverance, all that stuff. That's what really we need to work on. And while it sounds like, oh, that's the normal success stuff that everyone says, well, we sort of discount it as, oh, I know how to do that. I already know how to do that. I'm doing that, and I know that. But we're not enacting it. We're not actually, living it every single day. And so that's
So
the
you
part that we need to
reckon
work on.
this ability, to take whatever they're doing and apply it in their own way. That's kind of what I'm hearing there.
Yeah, definitely.
Excuse me. Okay, so let me ask you kind of what's been the most surprising thing in all your interviews with millionaires? I mean, everyone's got their own story, everyone's got their thing, but what's the common thing that you've heard that's been the most surprising thing that's helped them do what they do?
So there's
See, I'm with random questions.
I know.
So.
I like random questions. So, okay, there's two stories that I like to talk about, right? Because these are not normal stories, but very, very interesting, and you can learn a lot from them. So one is from Amos Winbush III, right? He wears a little bow tie. He was a singer-songwriter, had his iPhone, and I think it was an iPhone, and it crashed one day, and he lost everything. He decided, I want to start a tech company. Okay, singer-songwriter starting a tech company. Good idea. And I'm a geek. I have a degree in IT, so I'm going like, okay. So he called up his business manager and was...
Yeah, when I started on IT.
See? We could start a tech company.
There you
Singer-songwriter?
go.
I don't know. So he ended up... It was really crazy. He called his business manager and was like, how do I start this company? And his business manager was like, well, you should get a software engineer to help you. And he's like, what exactly does a software engineer do? And I'm going... You
Yeah,
don't know
that's
what a...
oh dear.
Oh my gosh, okay. But it wasn't about that, that was an excuse. Who cares? I don't know what it is. I'll just keep moving forward anyway. I mean, within a year and a half, he had $1 million business. And so, I mean, even to the point where one of the really good tips that he gave, he launched, and he's based out of New York City. And he knew that, telling the press about a tech company in New York City isn't a big deal. But he was from like Indiana. And so he talked to the newspaper there. He ended up getting a ton, like 12 or 13,000 new subscribers from that one article. And so he just went at it, nothing stopped him. He just went ahead and made those choices anyway. And it wasn't that big of a deal. If he failed, it wasn't that big of a deal. So I think while this is, he specifically said, I'm not scared. He's so used to rejection from the singer-songwriter industry because you get rejected all the time that he goes, what's rejection? Not a big deal. So he just kept moving forward past all the rejections and is doing really, really well now.
That's key because you kind of touched on the whole fear thing, fear of fear of rejection. Okay, verbal dyslexia coming out. So fear of rejection and fear of failure is very, very much. That's one of the biggest things I see holding new entrepreneurs back.
Yes,
they know they want to start their own business, but the fear of failure is paramount. Now, I mean, yeah, in the singer-song business. Rejection is every day. Every time you put something out, you're lucky if you make 1 in 1,000. So, I mean, that's key that he already had removed that barrier that stopped him succeeding. It's like, okay, if I fail, I fail. Okay, never, I can start again with something else. But that is very, very powerful. And love the whole bow tie thing. I should get a bow tie.
No, right? Well, and the other story has exactly to do with that too. Her name was Hani Lerner. She had a 9-to-5 job. She ended up quitting, started doing furniture upholstery. She walked into the Crate and Barrel, her local one, and asked to speak to the manager to see if she could sell her furniture reupholstery to them. They said yes, like said, because they loved her, they said yes. They got her in with all of the Crate and Barrels in New York City. She started having this huge business just from, those things, walking in and being okay with that. Then, because she had a successful business, then she decided, since she didn't think it would take her where she wanted, she closed all the accounts. One day just decided to cancel all of her customers. And see,
Wow.
I'm listening to these stories going like, oh my God, okay.
So the last thing you would ever do.
I know, right? We'll keep that on the side. So then she decided she wanted to do, she was doing furniture repair, I'm sorry. Now she's doing furniture reupholstery, which is different. And so she didn't even know, her boyfriend didn't know how to do furniture upholstery, he just knew repair. But she decided to create a Groupon for furniture reupholstery, which she didn't know how to do. But she knew somebody, she had a company that did. She ended up making over $100,000 on that Groupon. And I'm like, how did you make any money on your Groupon? Because usually you discount it. And if you had another company do it, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And she was like, well, normally the Groupons, the people, when they come to do it, they don't just have like a $100 or $200 furniture reupholstery. They have like a $500 or $600 or more. That's where we made our money. And I'm just going, you just were not afraid of failure. And now she has, an amazing business. She's a millionaire now. And it's just sort of amazing to see these stories of people being so inspiring, maybe a little too risky compared to some of us, but being able to see what they can do.
Absolutely.
Based on
There's nothing
that.
wrong with taking the risk as long as it's a calculated risk.
Exactly.
This is one of the things I try and tell people. Is, a lot of people like, I want to quit my day job and be an entrepreneur. My biggest word of advice is don't cut off your income stream.
Yes.
And then try different things out in your spare time, in your part time. Get things moving, create a foundation of success, but don't cut off your income streams if you can avoid it. I mean, if you're unemployed and suddenly you want to start your own business, okay, fine, you're in a position, you've got no choice, but I would still look for regular work so you've got an income stream.
Yep.
There is risks, calculated risks, and then there's Russian roulette.
Yeah.
I don't recommend Russian roulette. In a six shooter, you've got a 1 in 5 chance of that bullet being there. You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Take a calculated risk. Make sure you've got some capital that you could have some cushion to get things moving.
Yeah.
And then you can start things again if you need to.
Well, that's
seriously security. When you've got family,
Yeah.
if you're by yourself, it's a different scenario.
Definitely.
When you get with other people's lives and your family's well-being, that's a completely different thing.
I interviewed David Heinmeier Hansen, who owns or part of 37 Signals and Basecamp. He has a very successful business. One of the things he talks about is you can't over leverage. You can't ever have it where, your house is going to go on the chopping block because you as a person will not make the right decisions. Because you're so based in fear and afraid of losing that, you should never put yourself in that situation at all.
Yeah, you don't want to. Yeah, definitely don't want to put yourself in an emotional state of stress because you will always make the wrong decision. And using the gambling analogy, it's like the guy who mortgaged his house, took his $50,000 from his equity line of credit and put it on roulette table. And then how much fear is that going to generate?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, great. If it pays off, fantastic. If it doesn't, you've lost everything.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? You're going to go then try and leverage something else to try and recoup your losses. You're always going to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
So,
ouch. That hurts me just saying that. I can't even.
Well, the problem is I go to Vegas a lot. But I play blackjack because...
Blackjack, better odds.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. And if you know the tables, you can actually improve the odds in your favor. That's my kind of business.
I'll be in Vegas in January. You can teach me.
Well, yeah, I'll take that cards.
I'll be the blackjack millionaire then.
There you go. So, we've covered a lot of ground here today. I really appreciate you coming on this call. And these insights are fantastic, especially for everyone who's just starting out. And we've got people on this who are watching this who have already hit a level of success already and want to take it to the next level. Now, what do you see? And I suppose this will be the final question I fire at you. With these guys that you've seen, guys, girls, and every walk of life, do you see them stopping where they are or just being, okay, I've hit this plateau now, I'm cool, I'll just maintain? Or do you see all of them wanting to go to another level and do something else and push it to wherever they want to go. What do you
Yes.
see there?
1,000% yes. I mean, the people that I'm interviewing are so goal oriented and love achieving that they keep moving forward. One of the guys I interviewed, Andrew Derbyshire, he was telling me, he's got like a $40 million net worth. He's like, really? I don't really need to be a billionaire. I can, rent a private jet, all this stuff. But he's like, but I really want to build this company. I really want it to be something bigger. And so it's not necessarily about I achieved this much money, I don't move up anymore. It's really about a fulfilling life and doing more within your life. And so that's what I see. Anyone who even feels like they're successful now, it should just drive them farther to know that they can do even more.
That's awesome. Well, Jamie, now you've created the eventualmillionaire.com. Love that website. So much cool stuff on there. Everyone, you really should check this out, especially if you want to we've talked about mindset stuff here, and some of these interviews that Jamie has done are absolutely phenomenal. You really should check them all out. But you've got the Eventual Millionaire Academy. Now, tell me a little more about that. What's involved with that? And what kind of benefits will everyone here get with that? I mean, I'd really kind of like to see how you can help all these people kind of take what they're doing to the next level as well.
Yeah. So talking about mindset is one thing, right? And when, like I said, when I went through all the millionaire interviews, there's accumulation of what they did, right? How they set goals, how they did visioning, how they did sales and marketing and that sort of stuff. So I just took all that, and the Eventual Millionaire Academy is 4 months. So 16 weeks of a new module every single week, teaching you what millionaires do in their business for that specific thing, how to get a mentor and mastermind. It goes into a lot of depth. And not only that, though, is it makes you take action, because all hearing everything in the world doesn't matter if you don't actually do anything. So I'm very action oriented, right? I want you to get inspired and go, oh, that's a great idea, and then go do something with it. So that's sort of how the academy is set up. So it's short videos, 20, 30-minute videos that go ahead, get you inspired, tell you the information you need, and then action worksheets to have you actually go do that. Whether it's find a mentor and email 5, 10 people with a specific template on exactly what to do to find a mentor, those sorts of things for sure.
That's excellent. Now, one thing I would always say, and I've said this to everyone, you need a mentor. Whatever you're doing, you need a mentor. You need someone who's already been there, bought the T-shirt, prints the T-shirts, made money from the
Exactly.
T-shirt, and has syndicated the T-shirt. You need someone who's taken what they're doing and already achieved a level of success, so they can help guide you. And the analogy I use is, if you had $1 million at the top of a mountain you've just inherited, are you going to be able to climb that mountain to get there? No, you need training. You need to know someone who's already climbed mountains, knows all the dangers, knows all the pitfalls, what to look out for, so that you can go up there and claim your $1 million. So that's where mentors come in, and then it's very important. I mentor a lot of these guys here every week with the Ask Sean sessions and our IMSC Elite and everything else we're doing here, and these expert panels. And I'm so grateful that you're part of the expert panel here, where basically we're sharing your mindset as well, and your stories and observations and everything else. So yeah, definitely having a mentor is very important. Would you say, kind of, because it's kind of just fired off one last question, would you say all millionaires have their own mentors in some way as well?
Yeah, like I've heard it over and over and over again. That's why I sort of harp on mentors. I mean, I've used them and I thought that they've been invaluable. I have a couple millionaire mentors that I've met from interviewing millionaires, which is really great. Great way to get a millionaire mentor. Go interview them. Success tip, right? So, but it really has been key. People, even if it's not a formal mentorship, like I got an email yesterday saying, thank you so much for mentoring me. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. And they just have read everything that I've done. And so this is what millionaires say too. You can have a mentor that's an author that you follow and read everything he does, and you feel like he mentors you. So there's sort of that intangible mentor, but there's also meeting someone who cares about you, and wants you to succeed. That's, to me, the best way if you could set something like that up. And it's much easier than everybody thinks. You can either find someone, pay for their program, stuff like that. There's people that'll do it for free that have sort of might be a bit higher than you, not necessarily, a billionaire or anything like that. They're busy, as I've found, as I'm trying to find. But in general, having a mentor and having someone that can look at your situation, let you know what way to go is huge, definitely.
It's great, especially. I mean, I've got my own mentors as well, and I would say that having a mentor was one of my biggest turning points in my
Mm,
business because
mine
it
too.
helps you keep focus, direction, understand. Okay, if you hit a roadblock, how to overcome it? Because it's all well and good having a plan of action. If you don't take action to execute that plan,
Yes.
you know, you're just spinning your wheels in spot and wondering, oh, why aren't I a millionaire yet?
Yeah.
You know,
One
so
thing that I say, my mentor, who I got, who really changed me and helped me with my confidence and everything, was like, you're cold calling every day, like 30, 40 people. And I was like, I don't like cold calling. But having someone push you out of your comfort zone makes you move so much faster. So mentors are
oh,
great.
absolutely. Getting out your comfort zone is one of the most important factors of success
Mm,
because everyone has their comfort zone. Is my 9 to 5 job is safe? Not anymore, guys. Sorry, wake up call.
yes.
It used to be the mentality is we're all trained from college, from school, so that we're going to be dutiful employees for the rest of our lives, retire at 60 or 65 or 70 or however long they keep that ladder going up.
Yeah.
Your pension's going to keep you good. You're working for your pension so you can retire and die at 70. I'm sorry, that's not the life I want.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the lives that a lot of people here today watching this, they're the same mindset. They want some form of success to give them that cushion and not have to rely on, um, you know, their job or what their income and stuff like that. They want to create their own. So,
Mm.
very, very important. I think the Eventual Millionaire Academy will certainly help a lot of people here. So, guys, I encourage you to go check that out. The link is below me here. You should see it, and we will make sure that you have access to that. And I guess, Jamie, I'm going to let you go because we've almost hit an hour here. This was only meant to be half an hour, but we've done this so much stuff. I got a million and one questions I'd love to ask you. So we'll maybe do another interview in the future.
Definitely.
We'll tackle a different aspect. And guys, go check out eventualmillionaire.com. See the link there. And the Eventual Millionaire Academy. And again, there's a link there for that as well. Go see what Jamie does. Jamie, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on here and being part of this expert panel here for the IMSC Inner Circle. Have you got anything else or any final words before we wrap up and I'll let you go and get on with your day?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Sean. I mean, it's been great meeting you. I was even part of the IMS Success Center chat room for a while and stuff like that too. You guys are great. So thank you so much.
Awesome stuff. Well, guys, thank you again for being part of this expert panel, watching this video. Go check out those links below me there, and I'll see you in another expert panel and on the Ask Sean sessions. We'll see. Take care.